Brett Perigo, tonight's second place finisher. Plenty of fans here, Brett, and a solid second place finish.
Yeah, I got to shout out the Turn 2 Terribles over there. They're all a bunch of good guys to hang out with, talk to. I really like them.
How are you doing tonight, man?
Hey, I'm talking here. You know who you're talking to? Macho Man! I'm on my way to Monday Night Raw.
To the second one.
Your choice.
It's a trap.
I feel like it is. I feel like he's setting up fights in the front stretch is what he's trying to do.
Speedway. We've got Devin Board with us
At Keen Motorsports Shop here with Kyle Keen.
Sitting here with Sean Keen. We're going to talk a little bit about racing history.
Yep.
It is Monday, April 21st, 2025. What is going on? I am Jimmy here with Jay-Z and our good buddy here, Tyler Koenig, who's joining us tonight. Thank you for joining us, Tyler. We are the Turn 2 Terribles. Well, hope everybody's having a lovely Monday evening. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We actually got all of our races in here this weekend. No rain, well, a little bit of rain to talk about, but we got everything in from beginning to end. We got two Williams Grove features, the Sterner Memorial at Lincoln. We got some drama at Port Royal. And then we'll also talk about the World of Outlaws, some news. Cale Thomas is out of the 1A, an interesting Bridgeport announcement. And then we'll take a look at this upcoming weekend, including a big doubleheader for Port Royal. So, as always, we are live here on Facebook, YouTube. We're also live on Twitch and X now. So, and if you're listening the next day, we appreciate you guys listening the next day. We see you guys in the chat. Amanda, Matt, James, Samuel, Randy, Aunt Bay. What's going on? Dakota, Mandy. Thank you guys every week tuning in. Make sure to put in your comments and questions in the chat. So, Jay-Z and Tyler, how are you guys doing this evening?
Doing real good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, doing good. Anthony Macri won the weekend. Have a great week, everybody.
Yeah, for as many races as there were, it's gonna be a big common theme with Anthony Macri. What a weekend he had. Yeah, so let's get right into it. Like I said, Friday there was only one rain out, and that was out in Iowa. They had persistent mist. They had to axe Friday night's program. So yeah, but here back at home, beautiful weather. We were in the 70s, almost 80. We're actually in the 80s on Saturday. Williams Grove finally gets a full 410 night in. Starting with the Hintershits, with time trials here. Anthony Macri goes quick time, starts on the pole. wins this one with Brock Zierfoss coming in second, Ryan Smith third, Freddie Raymer fourth, Danny Dietrich in fifth. Heat race winners, Lance DeWeese, Troy Wagaman, Cody Hartlob, and Cale Thomas. Your hard charger was Derek Hauk in 17th from 22nd. Anthony wins this one. Scary moment with Cale Thomas battling Lance DeWeese going down the backstretch, hits the pit wall opening, flips, gets sideways first, and the fuel cell looks like to start exploding and catch on fire. Danny Dietrich stops before any of the other cars are stopped, gets out of his car, and is able to help Cale Thomas to safety, which was awesome to see. Luckily, he was okay, but the car was not as much. That was probably the biggest notable thing. What do you guys think?
I caught the tail end of it. I was watching. I was in the infield, pit infield in turn 3, and I just heard them yell red on the radio. Because I always wear a race receiver radio, and they were yelling red on the driver radio. And I looked to the right, and I just seen him starting to go over the one pirouette he did, and then I tell fuel cell was split because it was already flaming up, and Danny's sliding, obviously, to a stop. And I seen him jump out, and, he's always one of the first to do that. He remembers being in that position before and having Doug Esch help get him out. So pretty cool to see Danny jump in there. He beat most of the fire crew there, obviously, and, he's fully protected, so he was able to get him out. And, kudos to him for doing that.
Yeah, this wasn't there's a lot to unpack here. Obviously the important thing is Cale was safe. Cale talked to Cale, he didn't even know he was on fire. He thought maybe, he saw something kind of flare up, but he didn't think it was fuel. He, brakes could have been, whatever. He really didn't know. He was also like, okay, car stopped moving. He was like trying to just gather his thoughts. He wasn't shook up or hurt, but he just, hey, you flip over, give me 10 seconds. He didn't have 10 seconds, right? So Danny alertly, Cale had no idea. He didn't have any clue that he was on fire from a fuel. Potentially could have been. So that was Danny on the spot there, and he was behind it, saw it all, and that's the good part if there is any. The part that so I saw social media, sometimes there's some pretty astute people that really know racing and watch it, and I rewatched the replay a couple times. I didn't see it, and it took a long time for cars to get stopped under this red, and it's going to be a problem very soon. And every now and then you see this crop up where somebody will get penalized or DQ'd because they didn't stop soon enough under red. And actually, I think it happened somewhere this weekend or last weekend. I forget where it was. But if you watch that replay and watch how many cars rolled by, and they shouldn't have, and they see what was going on, they absolutely need to stop. They're trying to get across the track to get to a driver. These guys need to stop. I think someone counted, it was live, 10 seconds after he got done wrecking, another car went by. So someone's going to end up getting penalized for it. I understand what guys are trying to do probably, but it's not about them. They're trying to roll around to the front stretch, get close to the pits. You're driving past a car potentially on fire from fuel. Stop your car. You will be fine. It was 4 laps into the race. You'll be fine. Everyone will get their chance to be in the open red equally, kind of. But anyway, I don't want to talk too much bad about what I saw, but that's scary. And no matter who the driver is, blah, 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 you got to stop your car. You got to get stopped so these guys can get across the track.
Yeah, Danny was pretty much unbuckled and a foot out of the car, and there were still cars like not rolling fast, but they were still rolling. They weren't to a complete stop, which means the fire crew couldn't get there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I see what you're saying. But awesome on Danny. This isn't the first time he did that. He did this at Port Royal. I remember a couple years ago. Him and Logan Wagner both got out to get Dylan Cisney, I think it was, that was on fire during the Tusky, and yeah. So and it's something that when that happened, I never even thought about it. It's like these drivers are actually more protected than the fire crew because of the rating on their fire suits and everything. So it does make sense for a driver to get out and kind of put themselves, in the line of fire, to be, for lack of a better term. But awesome on Danny to do that. You know, he definitely deserves all the props in the world to not just for doing it, but to he's still rolling to a stop, already thinking about taking his belts off. That's pretty heads up of him. That was an awesome move. Sucks for Cale. We'll talk about a little bit more about his deal here after we go over the weekend's results here. Obviously, he is out of the 1A. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. More from this one. Chase Dietz had a decent race, moved up to 7th. Troy Wagaman was 8th. Justin Whittle 9th. Cody Hartlaub with the top 10. There were 39 cars here, right? It was 39, I believe. Or huge turnout. Just really good to see. Just to go and get just to go get waxed by Anthony Macri, to be honest. But some good runs here. Jake Harkland, impressive run, 13th. Ryan Taylor had a good run, 15th. You know what I mean? Like somebody like me looking at the rundown, you wouldn't even know that there's a lot of outsiders, quote unquote, that were in the area, because it's a lot of regular guys that ended up making the feature and that were out. This top 10 has kind of been your top 10 guys here at Williams Grove now for the past about year, for sure. So Ryan Smith with a solid run. Any other thoughts from this feature?
I personally would have liked to have seen a caution about 5 laps to go, because I'm standing down in 3 and 4, like I said before, and Ryan Smith was getting after it on the bottom, and he was getting better and better. I mean, he drove by Freddie like Freddie was tied to a pole, and I mean, if he could have gotten Brock for second there early on a restart with maybe about 5 or 6 to go, I'm telling you, it would have got real interesting. I was watching lap times, and he was about 4 or 5 tenths faster than Macri was there at the end. It was just the fact that Macri was out in traffic. What do you think, Jay-Z? What was it like
Yeah, I
down in?
mean, Ryan was good, but I don't know in clean air if there was a yellow that he has anything for a Macri in clean air, because Macri was, man, that car was just so good. Like watch him go through 3 and 4. He could make a mistake and he was still faster than everybody else. It looked like in clean air. So I don't know. Ryan was amazing at the end of that race, and it was funny you mentioned it because I was going to bring it up, and I was standing in 3 and 4, right on 4, exit of 4 at the fence, right there where the safety guy kind of stands. And listening to that car go through the corner and off the corner sounded like a lap car on 6 cylinders.
Yes.
It's barely running, and he's just right with guys and pulling them. And we've seen it before. We've seen it for years. It doesn't make sense, but it freaking works, and it's unbelievable. Like he was on Brock those last bunch of laps there, and Brock is just off the corner, and this car's going off the corner. It's unbelievable. It's the wildest thing to like hear it, and we've heard it before. And like in the second feature, everybody was detuned through 1 and 2, and you could hear the RPMs were low. Everyone was. This car was, and everybody was just ripping off 4, and this car was just 1,000 RPMs lower than everybody else running the same
Yeah.
speed. It's unbelievable. Yeah, he was good. The longer that went on, the better he got, for sure.
Interesting comment here going to a couple people here. Mandy says bad props to DD there. Scary stuff to have happen almost right in front of me. Almost probably the fastest I've seen somebody rushing out of the car like Danny did. Ant says I love that Daddy was there. Pulled. I think he means Danny. He could mean Daddy. I don't know.
Daddy's here. Right here. I'm right here. What do you mean?
Pulled Cale out and was already back to his car before the fire crew got to Cale. Yeah, for sure. And then this one here, Big Daddy on YouTube here says, if Danny got hit by a car, everyone would say he should not get out of his car. Remember Kevin Ward. And I think that kind of goes hand in hand a little bit with what you're talking about, Jay-Z, with in terms of cars not getting stopped quick enough.
Yeah, it is. And you're not, these guys know they're not supposed to get out of the car, but there's something, this is the situation
Yeah,
that trumps that.
absolutely.
It's for a good reason. And if Danny got hurt, got hit, I wouldn't blame Danny for getting out of his car here. There's a reason why, and it was a legitimate reason why. He wasn't over dramatizing it and shouldn't have done it. This was absolutely necessary and could have We don't know. I mean, as soon as he went to reach in to get Cale, did you see it flare up and it went down?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't stop and it keeps going. And there's still cars rolling by and it's 10, 12 seconds and Cale doesn't know. It's a problem.
Yeah.
So no, I don't agree with the comment at all that they would have blamed Danny or for getting out of the car. I think that the there like, yeah, if you get out of the car and there's cars rolling by and like it, there could be maybe a second or two, but like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds later something happens. Man, it's not on Danny, right? He's trying to do the
Mhm.
right thing, and everyone I hope would do the same. But yeah, it could turn one potential safety issue into two, and that's
Yeah.
what we don't want.
Yeah.
So I think that's the moral of the story. I hope guys see it, took note this week, and really do what they're supposed to do when a red flag comes out.
Brandon Gibson here. Jeremy, do you think he's able to do that because of clean air? Sounds like he's barely moving.
No, I think it's actually the opposite. I think it's not because of clean air. It's because of the way that car is designed and set up and the way they do things. It's just different, and they get more out of it with less RPM and they just have the forward drive. They get the forward drive
Yep.
without having to use RPM. They get forward drive and no tire spin, and they do it and just it's always been that way. It's not new. It's just that the way they got that thing working and hooked up.
He's talking about 69K, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Davey Brown's always been Davey Brown. It doesn't matter what car he works on. He's always been the king of detuning a motor properly for the right condition.
Yeah. And they get to power the ground better than anyone else in all conditions. They just do.
Last
They don't
time
need
you
to use it all.
they bust the tires loose. Almost never.
Rare.
Randy Oberlander says, remember, the tail tank was up the hill, so fuel on fire would have been going towards Cale, not away from him. So,
Right.
Good point.
Even more reason to get there quickly. Okay, let's go to the makeup feature. After the first 5 laps and it got rained out a couple weeks ago on the 4th, Matt Campbell was leading. Matt Campbell finishes second here. But to Anthony Macri, who takes the win. Danny Dietrich third, Brock Zierfoss fourth, Chase Dietz fifth, TJ Stutz, Lance DeWeese, Troy Wagaman, Freddie Raymer, and Billy Dietrich rounding out the top 10. Your heat race winners were Matt Campbell, Ryan Taylor, and Cam Smith. And Freddie Raymer going from 17th to 9th was your hard charger. What did you guys see from this one?
Real quick, Brandon, he is talking about Macri. I thought he was talking about the 69K, but yeah, kind of the same thing applies, Brandon. Yes, clean air in that situation. His car was really good. He didn't have to drive harder to push through the air he doesn't have. He was doing what he had to do, kept the tires under him, did his job. I'll give you a comparison. If you ever watch Rick Eckert in a late model at Port Royal and he's running and it sounds like he's running around at half throttle or a quarter throttle and everyone else is just buzzing the tires, it's the same kind of concept. That's more Rick Eckert 69K, but Macri is sort of the same thing here. That car was that good. He's not having to overdrive the car to make speed. The car was making speed on its own, and yeah, clean air for sure. So hopefully that, but anyway, sorry. This one? This one was much different. Matt Campbell gave Anthony everything he could handle here, and that whole deal. And he was really good. I was down in 1 and 2 for this one. Kind of moved around, and they both looked really good in 1 and 2. And Macri was there. I think Macri, he kind of said he was kind of biding his time, waiting until lap traffic. But then had to restart and took a shot. Macri said if it stayed green, he didn't think he had anything for Matt at the end there. He said in that interview with Jeremy Elliott after the race, he said, hey, yellow doesn't come out. This is probably a win for Matt. So Matt was really good. I talked to him on Saturday and he said, just the right scenario. Anthony did his job on the slider and he wasn't able to quite turn back around and turn back under him in 3 and 4 there. And like I said, I was in 1 and 2. So I saw the result was Anthony in the lead and I didn't, I still haven't actually gone back and watched the slider, but this one was more competitive for sure. There was definitely some, Anthony earned this one. Not that he didn't earn the other one. He was never challenged for the lead in that one. He worked a little harder in the feature for this one.
What do you see, Tyler?
I'm the same way with Jeremy. I certainly think that that caution doesn't come out for Cam Smith. I think Matt Campbell wins this race. I don't. Matt was making the right moves in lap traffic, and he was catching the lap cars at the right spots to get him a lap down. And he wasn't giving Anthony the ability to make a run to try to throw a slider. When you catch the lap cars and you catch them at the right spot and you can clear them, but also clear him to where he can't throw a slider and get both of the lap car and you at the same time. I knew that it was going to be problematic on a restart for Matt, knowing that Macri was going to have a clean shot at him with no lap cars around, and certainly did. And, you got to take advantage of the spots when they give it to you.
Samuel says, Campbell earned my respect there and got a new fan from a friend of mine there. That's what we call selling T-shirts.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's just what Matt Campbell was doing. Awesome run for him. But probably, bummed that he probably didn't get the win, but a solid run all around for him, especially after not making the first feature of the night. Unfortunately. Randy Kopp says, Lasowski interview said, moving the front nose wing forward 3 inches would make racing a ton of money and cost no money. Would make the racing a ton better and cost no money. What do you guys think about that one?
I don't know enough physics. I know
Yeah.
they're going through the pits in the 358 pits, measuring how forward the wings are and telling them not to have them forward. So I don't know. I don't know what that would do or what that changes from the aero standpoint. I'm not 100% sure on that one. What do you know about that, Tyler? Are you a physicist?
Not a physicist, but I kind of understand. I understand what Lasowski's saying. You get more air. You move the front. You move the front wing forward more. It gives more air chance to run over the front wing more clean up to the top wing, plant the car down a little bit better. Or
That'll
sometimes
make the racing better.
Dirty will unhook the car and make it a little bit more unstable.
Gotcha.
It works if you're running from about third to last, but when you're like the front couple cars, you're not going to see a difference there.
Steph says Matt is a rocket this year. I was screaming so loud Saturday, hoping he would get Macri. Pretty sure I embarrassed my boys. All right. Any other thoughts from Williams Grove on Friday night? It seemed like a pretty good turnout, fan wise.
Good car count.
Good car count, fans, and good weather. So
yeah, that helped too.
Let's go to Lincoln on Saturday. For Weldon Sterner Memorial. Anthony Macri does it again. He goes quick time. He wins a heat race. He wins the feature. Over Danny Dietrich, Matt Campbell, Chase Dietz, Cam Smith, who also wins the heat race, Chad Trout, Troy Wagaman, Freddie Raymer, Tyler Ross, and Cody Hartlob. Cam Smith, Macri, and Cody Hartlob were your heat race winners. And Freddie Raymer was another hard charger, 16th to 8th here in this one. Ryan Smith finishes 24th. He had some steering issues, right?
Issue. Yeah, he tagged the rear and went in lap 1.
And then you see Cale Thomas here, 6th to 20th. What happened with him?
I don't know. I didn't see it.
I was watching Danny about ready to get past Macri.
And I think the whole place was, and he was only running. He was running with Chad for 5th and 6th there with Chad Trout, and like Flo didn't catch it. Nobody at the track really saw it. Everybody was watching up front, and Chad Trout was able to continue. I have no idea what happened. So if anybody's watching this and you're a race car driver and you saw this, tell us. If you saw this, I'd love to know. Or if anybody was in 3 and 4 and saw what happened here, was there contact, jumped the cushion, just hit the wall? I talked to Cale and he said the car really wasn't hurt. So it did do it flipped, I guess, but the red flag came out, but he said the car really wasn't hurt at all. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
I was watching Macri, and the next thing I hear is Red on the radio. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Brandon Gibson says, corner of my eye looks like he just hit the wall coming out of 4 with nobody near him, and that's what caused him to flip.
Interesting.
And Randy says he hit the wall for about 4 laps in a row.
Yeah, well,
5th time
knock it down. Yeah, so Danny was coming after Anthony in this one, making it a little bit harder for Anthony, but Anthony held it down.
Last 5 laps, literally the fastest car to that red.
Yeah, Danny was getting there, and he kind of threw a pretty big slider in 1 and 2 just as that was kind of happening, and it didn't clear, and he was actually lost a ton of ground off 2, and that was with 2 to go. So I don't know how close he would have gotten to have another attempt at it. He was definitely faster,
Yeah.
but he lost a ton of momentum doing that because Anthony was just doing what he was doing. Danny kind of threw it there, and maybe he could clear it, maybe he couldn't. But when he didn't, I just felt like if that went green, I don't know if he has enough momentum built back up in time. Pretty quick laps. So who knows? I mean, we've seen Danny do that before, and you've seen other guys do that before, take their shot, and then they're right back there in 2. So he was faster, but man, he lost a lot of momentum on that slider. I was down in 1 and 2, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, that was his shot. I thought, honestly, just my opinion. I think the yellow gave him another shot at it, like the
Yeah.
red, because he was back on the tail tank again. Didn't get a good enough restart, on the next one, but I think the red flag maybe helped after he was throwing that slider. So I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I
Couple
agree.
in, couple invaders here too. Brady Bacon finishes 15th. Darren Nida made the trip out, finishes 22nd. Makes the feature. They were 29 410s. Not a bad turnout. For a pretty good, 10 grand to win race.
I talked
Um,
I talked to Darren Knight. The only reason they came in this weekend was to get laps at both the Grove and Lincoln because he's an all-star this year.
right.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, listen, I, I'm just gonna say it. But listen,
say it. Just say it.
Brady Bacon hit everything but me in his heat race. That guy. Now, to be fair, I'm gonna be fair. He kind of got caught up in a piece of the flip of who was that? Who flipped
And
in the heat race?
Bittinger.
Yeah, Mike Vinegar. So front wing got damaged, top wing got damaged. They get going again, and then the front wing, the side panel, the front wing flies off, another yellow. On that next restart, he came off the bottom and had to get up to the cone and almost ran into the car behind him because the car behind him did the right thing. He came up a 4 out of the hill, and it was just leaned, and I thought they were going to crash coming to get to the cone. And he was all over the place. That car had to be wicked after that wreck, but it's scary. I thought he was going to wreck like 4 times. Thankfully, he didn't. But I was like, "All right, Brady, let's get it under control here, buddy." But he transferred and he was in the show after, unfortunately, Friday night running out of fuel in the B main. We didn't talk about that, but a little controversy in the B main.
Oh yeah, I forgot it. I,
Yeah,
I remember. Yeah,
yeah.
You-
So a bunch of cars ran out of fuel in the B.
and this is at Williams Grove on Friday night.
Right.
Williams Grove in the B, 12 lap B main. I guess they were told verbally 10, but it was written 12.
No, it was
Either
they were told 10 in the drivers meeting and it said 10 on the lineup board, but at the Grove, if there's more than 15 cars in the B main, they automatically go 12 laps. It's in the Grove's rule book.
There was about 37 in the B main there.
Yeah,
So it looked like an A main as they took the green. I'm like, holy shit, there's a lot of cars in this B main. But more than one car ran out of fuel. So
Yes.
more than one
yeah, well,
car, it's one of them things that doesn't. When's the last time a normal show at the Grove had this? That they knew you go into that night not knowing how many cars are going to show up. So you don't
right.
really say it. World of Outlaw B main, you got 45 cars. You're preparing. You're going to say, hey, this number, if it cuts off, we're going to go here. I don't know. But more
There
than
were,
one ran out. So more than one didn't get the memo, know the rule. So
and there were a lot of yellows in the early part of that B main. And as a former person that did fuel for a 410 team, honestly, you're not going to go out with 20 gallons to run a B main. You're more
No.
or less go out with usually between like 12 and 15, but that's also the risk you take when the track's faster and there's a bunch of yellows early.
I
Yeah.
said this: if you were in the top 4 starting and you had a fast car, you shouldn't have been even close to taking a risk. It's
No,
Williams Grove, and you're out front. Like Brady Bacon, Matt Campbell. They're fast enough. You're out front. Don't cut it close. Don't think about cutting it close. Don't. That extra fuel probably isn't going to slow you down enough that you're going to get passed by some of the cars in that B, unless you messed up the setup. But to run out,
yeah.
it sucks. I want to be harder on him than I am. I do.
Yeah.
I do.
I just felt really bad for Brady because he comes all the way in from Indiana and then has that
Right.
happen Friday night.
Why would you feel bad? You didn't do it.
I mean, you know, you
You're
got
a
nothing.
softie. You're a softie.
I know. I got a soft spot for Brady.
What was the just saw it. Oh, he's Brady Bacon is hiring crew members. He did make a post for the 21H, not the Dyson 20. So
What
if
if it's a
anybody's
fuel
looking,
guy? Think it's a fuel guy?
I think
No.
it's not a fuel guy. I think he's actually looking for a car chief.
Car chief.
Um,
Car chief
um,
driver.
and then Steph says Brady even said on a post that they did more laps than they were told. But if you don't know what it says in the rules, that's what you can see happening. And Randy says 1.1 gallons of fuel per lap on Friday night.
That sounds about right.
That's a lot of. That's big.
Yeah.
It's a big number. But anyway, Lincoln Speedway.
Back to
Couple
Lincoln.
things to finish this up. Logan Rumsey, 13th. Great job, right? Running with the guys. He's right there. Cody Hartlaw, 10th, 2 top 10s. Freddie and Troy. Now, look, I'm telling you right now, Freddie and Troy, every race this year, they are battling for position, it feels like.
Yep.
Every race. They are right there, every single race. Lincoln, Williams Grove. Look, go back to the Williams Grove numbers.
Yeah,
Go
I think
back,
they finished right next to each other. They were 8th and 9th on the makeup.
9th, and there was a
and
little
they
bit
were
of a spread here. Freddie got up, Freddie to
the
4th, and
fourth,
Troy 8th.
and then was 8th. Yeah,
Like,
and then
that
then
might
they
be the first
were
they've been apart all year, minus maybe a
7th and 8th.
DNF.
7th and 8th at Lincoln.
Crazy, but anyway, this was a pretty good race, all things told. Matt Campbell again did his job, out front, running, going good, doing what he had to do. Anthony's just better right now, a little bit, just a little bit, right? And Danny was good, very good at the end, as we know. Chase 8th to 4th. You could tell this was not easy to do against the best cars at the front, right? There weren't, too many invert games. It was time trials and
Right.
handicapping. You have the best cars kind of starting at the front. It's harder to get the job done all the way through. So it was fun to watch fast cars be fast and battle.
I was going to say the heat race on Saturday at Lincoln, and it was Chase and Cameron Smith on the front row. And you look at that and you're like, oh, well, Chase is going to, blow Cameron Smith's door off. And it was the opposite. Cameron blew Chase Dietz's door off. And who knows where, if Chase gets into that redraw by winning the heat race, who knows what kind of race it ends up being.
And Cameron Smith, quick time and hot laps, good time trial, good heat race. That was a nice boost for them. They've been struggling a little bit at the beginning of the year, and I could tell in hot laps. I mean, he was on it. That thing looked good. He was driving the car hard. It was hooked up. He was giving it all it could handle. That was fun to see.
He had a little motivation from the night before, blowing a tire in that makeup feature with 5 laps to go, running 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good race there. Let's Brandon said Freddie and Troy battle was pretty good. Nick Lowe said Chase and Cam Smith was fun to watch the last couple laps. Mandy says I feel bad for Matt Campbell though. Sucks to have that happen like that 2 nights in a row. And Matt Trey says those damn yellows, late race yellows. Matt had Macri beat until then.
Yeah, listen, Matt Campbell already won a race this year. He's knocking on the door. You keep knocking on the door, you're gonna knock the door down a lot. And we saw it with Chase Dietz. He's winning some races, still knocking on the door a little bit while winning races. But Matt Campbell keeps doing what he's doing, and they're getting more and more, notebook with the X team and getting things going. And keep knocking on the door. It'll open up here, and it's gonna a lot, I think, as we go forward.
Final thoughts from Lincoln. How was the fanfare? FanFest sounded pretty cool. I know they do a lot for this race. You got to see Ashley had the Apple car out, which was pretty cool. It's all around good event.
Tyler, you go into a little bit more on this one. I know you're close to Ashley, and I did some work for her at the event as well. But talk a little bit about kind of what your observations were with that.
FanFest went great this year again. It's always neat seeing the little kids, especially, the smiles and everybody's all excited to, see the race cars and see the drivers and everything. And, ton of work. I don't know. I don't really think people realize how much work is sponsorship wise is, that Ashley and Pat Sterner put into that to make that an event. We talk about races and we talk about events being completely different. This is turned into an event. It's not just any other race that we have on the schedule, between the Fan Fest, paying good money from top to bottom, what we did for the 358s, having the 358 feature pay $2,100 to win and having $100 a lap. So somebody potentially leads all 20 laps. They could have walked out of there with $4,000. I think Dylan Norris ended up walking out of there with 3,800 for a 358
awesome.
race, 2,100 to win and 1,700 in lap money. That's just really, really hard work. And it was just really, really good to have a really nice day too. I mean, April weather can be very unpredictable, and to have an 80-degree day for that event, you couldn't ask anything better. And the racing was good too. Hopefully that'll get more people to come out next year and we can make next year even better.
I was on the backstretch and just doing the photo thing, and this guy walked up and kind of the fence, and he kind of got my attention, and he was asking about heat races and what's going to happen, and so I thought he's first time here, and I'm like, all right, cool. And we got talking, and it was everybody he had with him. It was a group of like 8 kids of like 2 families, and it had like 8 kids total. First time ever at a dirt race. He had
Awesome.
been he had been to a dirt race before somewhere, kind of knew a little bit, but like was still asking me kind of how the order of events, and it was a really good crowd. I thought the infield was very full. And listen, promotion matters. The tickets weren't cheap for
Yes.
this race. It was Easter weekend. Yes, the weather was good. There was a lot of things people could be doing. The
Yep.
ticket gate money that people bitch about, it matters, sure. Yes, it matters. But this was streamed. This was a higher ticket price. There was promotion done. There was events. There was fan engagement. There was all these things done, and people showed up. Cars showed
Yep.
up, right? Yeah, I don't love the 29,
Yep.
but it was a lot of good sprint cars, a lot of good race cars.
Yep.
I'm not going to take a side on that. There was good race cars at both tracks. That's not a big deal, but there were a lot of good race cars in both divisions. There was time trials. It was a great surface. It was great weather. Promotion matters.
I couldn't agree more.
Absolutely. Let's go to Port Royal. Speaking of that, 29 cars also at Port Royal. You brought up the car count. I thought it was gonna be lean really heavy Lincoln, but really good turnout at both tracks. That's good. I think what my personal opinion, because I know people were talking about too about the whole Sealands Grove thing with Friday nights. Sealands Grove looked like they had an absolutely fantastic crowd, good car counts. Williams Grove had great car count, good crowd. Saturday night looked great for both. When the weather's good, we had a couple invaders, but a lot of it's all local guys. I mean, besides maybe 4 or 5 guys, we had Crouch, you had Bacon, Nida, Davey Franick here at Port, who wouldn't be a regular necessarily.
Steven Snyder, Robbie
Steven
Kendall.
Snyder Jr., Robbie Kendall was a surprise, but there's cars in the area to make this happen every week, and I think a lot of this competition stuff can get overblown a little bit. So I think this weekend just proves that all these tracks, I think every track had a good weekend. I would hope. You know what I mean? Because Port had a good crowd, Lincoln everyone had a good crowd, good car counts, good racing. And good racing here at Port. Michael Walter gets his first win here at Port Royal. He was burning it down. Awesome. This was a really cool one to see. Billy Dietrich made a last-minute decision to go from Lincoln, which I thought was really surprising. to go to Port, and man, did he make it worth it with a P2 finish. And that's not, we're going to talk about Logan Wagner and Justin Whittle here. Billy ran up front all night. He was quickest in his group. He ran up. He ran up front in his heat race. Ran up front he was up in the top 3 or 4 pretty much the top 3 all night. And looked really good. And he was running that bottom lane. Looked really good. Mike Wagner finishes 3rd. Brock Zierfoss finishes 4th. And Blaine Heimbach 18th to 5th for Blaine Heimbach, hard charger. Your heat race winners are Michael Walter, Mike Wagner, and Justin Whittle. The big headline here from this, what most people saw, Logan Wagner and Justin Whittle get together. They were in a slide job battle for about 3 laps. It was a hell of a race. And then going into turn 1, a lot of people are kind of 50-50 on it. At first, when I was there, I thought Logan just didn't turn. But I was also all the way in turn 4 and at the bottom of the grandstands. I didn't have a great view. And then when I watched the replay, it's like, yeah, Whittle kind of chopped him. You know what I mean? He chopped him going into the corner. Racing deal. They're racing hard. You know what I mean? And Whittle's trying to protect the position after he finally just what he felt was probably going to be the last slide job if he could just hold him off into his corner. But they were throwing haymakers at each other. It was a great race. It's a shame that it came to that. Would have liked to see how that ended up. But Michael Walter, it's not by luck that he wins this race because he was right there behind those guys the entire time. And if they were kept battling, he probably was he was right there to capitalize whether they wrecked or not. He was really fast. So awesome job by him. Did some donuts in turns 1 and 2. Weird night there, man. It was windy. We saw some canopies get ripped off on some campers. It was super windy but nice, and then we got hit with a little bit of rainstorm. As we're watching the radar, I thought we were done because it looked like it was going to be a pretty heavy storm, and then there's a couple more storms after. But Port Royal, man, it's just like in its own with the mountains there. It's like in its own weather system, its own bubble. Because as the rain was getting there, it was breaking up. So it still rained a little bit, just enough to be a nuisance, but they ended up getting the track. It was only maybe like a 45-minute delay, and they're right back at it. Awesome race, awesome night all the way around. Really happy for Michael Walter and Billy Dietrich. This was this top 5 here. Devin Adams 2-6. Gerard McIntyre ran well. Brenham Crouch had a good recovery, finishing 8th. Garrett Bard, Robbie Kendall was a surprise. He finishes the top 10. Just an all around really awesome 410 race here. Really happy for Michael Walter and that team.
Yeah, the story of the night, everybody is going to be Whittle and Wagner, right? Because it was for the lead. Two drivers of Port Royal that have won races, track champions. And I have a thought, and but I want to do that after because Mike Walter is the story, and it should be the story.
It should be,
and it is the story. I'm so damn pumped up for Michael. This is awesome. One of my favorite guys to talk to in the pits. One of my favorite guys to just bullshit with on Facebook now and then when he sends me a goofy Instagram reel or we talk about pictures or race cars or whatever. This man, I hate that I wasn't there. I can't be in both places at once, but at the same time, this was bound to happen. I was glad I could see Cody Lehman's when Cody Lehman got his first one. I was there for that one. That was pretty cool. Love Cody. I like talking to him and his team and his family. This is awesome for Mike, man. I put up a picture right away, congratulate him. I was in his DMs. I'm a fan, and this was super cool. To hear his emotion in victory lane. And he's been so damn close. And I don't think this wasn't just about his dream of doing it. This was about how damn close he's been to getting it done to accomplish this dream.
Mm-hmm.
And now it finally happened all together with all the things that should have happened over the years, being so close. And this was just the story. This was awesome. Awesome. Now, the other one. This was a classic example of play stupid games and you win stupid prizes. Okay? This is what this is. Logan Wagner didn't do a damn thing wrong. He was already on the inside. He was going for the inside, whether it was a slider or going to the inside. yeah, Justin doesn't have a mirror. Justin's doing what I've seen sprint car driver do a million times to protect the air, protect the slider line. Got the lead, thought he had control of this race all four. I don't blame him a bit for what he did. He doesn't. He goes to turn left.
Mhm.
He doesn't know he's there yet. Like, but at the same time, it's a risk you take. Took the risk. We have wrecked race cars for the lead. It is what it is. So I have a more stern FAFO saying. I don't know if I should say it on here. We're on all these new streams, so maybe we get taken off. But this is the risk you take, whether you're the second place car or the lead car. We've seen that kind of chop into the corner. I saw it at Lincoln in a heat race, and it worked. Doesn't always work. Took his chance. It didn't work. Felt like he got drove through. I don't know if Justin feels any differently today. I'm sure he's not. I don't think he feels any differently about not winning or getting a chance to go and finish racing. But that was the risk you take as the leader, thinking you're going to chop the nose, take the air off, and pull away and into the sunset. It didn't work. They both crashed their race cars. Michael Walters, the story. Tyler,
Yes.
go ahead.
I'm totally with you. I mean, there's not much.
Come
You know,
on, you're
there's not.
supposed to argue with me. You're not a good fill-in for Chris. You're supposed to say something crazy that doesn't make sense to disagree with me.
I think
Um,
at the end of the day, this is Williams Grove's fault somehow.
All right, fair enough. Go
somehow,
ahead, Tyler.
I just look at it as a racing deal. I mean, honestly, Logan's there's not much he can do. He's pinched against the inside guardrail like Jay-Z said, and I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, you have two wreck race cars, and it sucked it happened. But for Mikey Walter, I mean, I'm super happy for him too. You gotta have a good car to be in a position to take advantage of when that's being presented to you too. And he was there all night. He had the opportunity to do it, and got it done. It'd be interesting to see now if it takes as long for the second one. I always say the first one's the hardest one to get. So let's see. I'm sure he would love a $15,000 payday next week.
Yeah.
It very much feels like the amount of them that shit that happened and the people inherited his bad luck.
Yep.
It was okay for this one to kind of come back around, right? Like it
Yeah.
felt like the world made it right, gave him one back.
Right, like last year, he led that race at Williams Grove until coming down for the white flag when Macri passed him. It's like, what does this guy got to do to win a race? Well, he just needed the leader in second place to wreck each other.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't think, like I said, I don't think that's fair because he was there. You know what I mean? As they were battling back and forth, he was right there. It's not like if there was a slip up.
I was going to say, those two don't get to racing each other and forget that he's back there and he drives by both of them.
He was ready to. He was right there on the tail tank of Logan pretty much at one point, and he was right there. And like I said, like Casey Helpler here said, Wagner never turned. For me, I sat in very low in the turn 4 grandstands. And my initial reaction was it looked like Whittle turned and Logan never did. I did not really, but I couldn't realize the depth. You know what I mean? Because I still thought Logan was behind him, like at his rear tire. Watching the replay though, they were side by side, man. Like Justin has to know he's there. You know what I mean? And maybe he just turned in a little too early. If he, I think it's more of a racing thing, but I put this more on Justin for sure. Just for really leaving Logan nowhere to go. But they're racing hard for the lead. They've been battling back and forth. These things are going to happen, and hopefully, they learn from it. And I'm sure Justin's super pissed. You know what I mean? Just all around. He got out of the car and showed that he was super pissed, and also showed Logan Wagner's wing he was super pissed. And
there were two winners out of this: Mike Walter and Port Royal Speedway.
Yeah, for sure.
If I'm Port Royal, I'm playing that clip all week.
All the way to Weichert, baby.
And it's not even not even the wreck, because the racing was good up until then. Like even they were going back and forth for laps. Brock Zierfoss, he had a damaged wing from the get-go. On the start, he slid right up the track and got into the wall, and He was driving with a bent up top wing the entire race. How he stayed up there in fourth.
And front wing. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And the front wing. He was very
Um,
much at an aerodynamic disadvantage. He ran third for most of the race. Got
Yep.
passed by Mike there at the end. He was right there with Billy for a good chunk.
Did they ever say
Billy and
what
Michael Walter. What's that?
Did they say what happened to Lance in the feature?
He lost brakes, and this was something I was going to go into next because, man, I was pissed. He was right there with Brock. He looked really good. He had good runs at Williams Grove, and they're starting to get it going now. You know what I mean? Like they're running consistently right there around the top 5, and he looked like he was going to be at probably battling for a podium at the very least. Him and Brock were battling, and they were fast. And then all of a sudden, he just pulled down, and it sounded like he lost brakes. So super unfortunate. I was so frustrated for him because he was really going to be a contender there, I think, towards the end, especially as those guys started to get going and battle. That could have really played into his hand. But yeah, just that's what sounded like he lost brakes. Let's go back to a couple comments here. Marie says, "Stott Wagner set up for the first turn too soon, but after watching it over and over, I thought they both tried to race the turn 1 together in the same space." James says, "Whittle should have known that Logan was going to throw another slider. Sad to say he did the same thing to TJ Step to the Grove." I think he did know that he was going to throw another slider, and that's why he took that line. Probably expecting Logan to have to back out, and that just didn't happen. Troy Savage says, "Someone said to me, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Can't use the naughty word I was told." Flyer fan says, "Nice top 10 for Devin Adams." Absolutely. He looked good. 14th to 6th.
Yeah.
Great run for him.
Tell you, the future of Port Royal Speedway, things going the path they're on is Garrett Bard and Devin Adams. They're going to be guys competing for wins and for a long time. I hope. I think. I mean, I think the potential's there.
I'll give you another name. I'll give you another name to throw in the mix. He's in the micros right now, but I see great potential coming out of him. Is Tyler Walton's kid.
Oh yeah.
He ended up winning at Linda's on Friday night. He's starting to come into his own. Won't be very long before you see him in a sprint car up at Port.
That'll be interesting. Yeah, there's a good crop of talent here, and but I think, I mean, besides Michael Walter, I was super impressed with Billy Dietrich. I was super pumped for him. Yeah. He went down to not victory lane, but thinking that it was going to be a podium. I think the interview, but it was only a victory. They only did victory lane, and he had to get pushed back. But
we need to. If Billy gets on the podium again, we want a damn interview.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, they should just interview him anyway, because it probably would have been awesome. So hopefully it means he was just fast all night, and the past couple times Billy's gone there, he's been really, really good. So, and I remember when he said when we had him on earlier in the winter here, he talked about going there maybe a little more often. So I was really surprised that they picked tonight or set this weekend to go, but I think this is kind of what you like, these big money races, you're going to have your head, you're going to see some guys maybe try some different things to try to go race at the other place. But I don't know. We'll see. I was very surprised that it was an even split. I really thought it was going to be probably at least a good 8 to 10 more cars at Lincoln than Port.
Well, at Lincoln, it wasn't really a choose thing. There was a few cars that didn't show up that were planned to, or were kind of planning to. Brenham Crouch and the CJB car, they went to Port because they're going to have Weicker coming up. It was their time trial show. It was Port Royal. That's there. We didn't see Jordan Givler. We didn't see either Stricklers. Yep. Justin Peck wasn't able to make it. There was a lot of cars that just weren't at Lincoln that you typically would have seen. Tim Gladfelder didn't have his car out this week. You could have easily flipped it around.
35, 36 there.
Yeah, the stars line up, and you got 34, 35 cars at Lincoln. So
35.
Yeah, that was kind of my number, was around 35. But it just, it is what it is.
And listen, we're splitting hairs here because 29 car field is good. That's
100%.
You know what I mean? I'm not trying to say anything negative about the car count. I think it's great. I think my point was, I think with the crowds and the car counts this weekend, it proves that, yeah, even though we had a couple outsiders, and it proves that more than one track can run, and everybody could have success if they just
You think
schedule it the right way.
I was gonna say,
Go
you
ahead.
think in a 2.5 hour radius we had 58 cars on a Saturday night in Pennsylvania?
Right. Yeah. It's awesome. It's awesome to see. Let's get into other winners from the weekend. We got to give our guy Brett Perigo a shout out. Winning the wingless super sportsman feature at Path Valley from 6th place. Awesome job. Brand new car this year after he, last year got tore up at Williams Grove. And early on here, he's looking fast. He was leading a lot at BAPS the other Sunday with the 410s. Him and Tony Jackson were going back and forth. And he was fast here at Path Valley. I think I did say bold prediction in our bold prediction show this year. Brett's going to get a win, and man, I don't know. He might knock off a couple. Let's hope. So congratulations,
Yeah.
congratulations to Brett. Go ahead.
I think that BAPS run with Tony Jackson gave him a lot of confidence. Hey, not that I think Brett knows he can do it, but I think that was like I can run with these guys. I can run with anybody that's out there, and he has a lot of laps at Path Valley. He's ran probably there more than anywhere. So this was awesome. Again, another one. I wish I could clone myself and be in 3 places at once, but you can't, right? So hopefully get to see him this weekend back at Port Royal Speedway.
Yes. And
Oh,
this was
that's
funny
right.
because I found out that Brett won as I'm watching our buddy Tyler Shell making his very first start in a 305 at Port Royal. I mean, that's a hell of a place to make your first ever start. And he was one spot out from transferring in the B main. He looked awesome. Kept it safe, but he made some good moves. And as soon as that B main ended, I was like, oh man, he looked good because he had to come from the back. He moved up. I think he went 15th to 7th. And then I looked down at my phone and it's like Brett won. I'm like, what a night. Good night. You know what I mean? It was pretty cool. So also winning this weekend, Dylan Norris won the 358 feature at Lincoln. Greg Satterley won the super late model feature at Port Royal. In a really good late model race.
I mean, from second on back, it was really good. Yeah.
Yeah, from second on back, Greg absolutely dominated this one. Nick Swigert, this same deal. I mean, he was dominated that. I mean, he could have lapped the field.
Logan Sparr had a good
Yeah, Logan Sparr. Yeah. Oh yeah.
the second.
Yeah. And then Rick Eckert won the super late model race at Sealands Grove on Friday night, and that was like, what was that, 4 in a row for him coming up until Saturday night? I mean, he's been so good.
Yeah, that was 2 at Port, 1 at Georgetown.
What are you doing over there?
I'm trying to rest my phone. It was 2 at Port, 1 at Sealands Grove, 1 at Georgia. Yeah, 4 in a row, Jimmy.
So
and
he's just
been for 5. Yeah.
Yeah, he was going for 5 in a row. He finished second, I think. I think he finished second.
Third.
He was right. Third. He was up there, but man, it was all Greg Satterley ripping the top, and yeah, it was a really good feature for the
Greg Satterley doing Greg Satterley things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Getting tuned up for the Lucas show next week.
Yes, which we're going to get into here in a little bit. Let's take a quick look at point standings here from the area. We'll start with Williams Grove now that they got 2 features in. Anthony Macri has the early lead over Brock Zierfoss, Danny Dietrich, Chase Dietz, Freddie Raymer, Lance DeWeese, Troy Wagaman Jr., TJ Stutz, Justin Whittle, and Matt Campbell. Obviously, this will change a lot, but just kind of cool to just take our first peek at the standings there. Lincoln here. Troy Wagaman still holds the lead, but it's getting a little bit smaller as Matt Campbell now moves up to second, 30 points behind. Freddie Raymer moves up to third. Danny Dietrich moves up to fourth. Aaron Bollinger is fifth. Chase Dietz goes down to sixth. Chad Trout, Tyler Ross, Cam Smith, and Brandon Raymer round out the top 10. So Matt Campbell, those consistent runs are starting to show in the point standings here, and he's right, just one night away maybe from, really put his hat in the ring here with Troy. But Troy's been so consistent there as well that he's going to be a tough one to beat. And then Port Royal points. Brock Zierfoss has the early season lead here over Michael Walter. Gerard McIntyre, Justin Whittle goes down. He was leading, goes down to 4th. Blaine Heimbach 5th. Jeff Halligan, Logan Wagner, Lance DeWeese, Cody Lehman, and Austin Bishop round out your top 10. So yeah. And then let's take a look at real quick the World of Outlaws here. We're at Knoxville. They had almost 70 cars for the weekend there. A lot of high limit guys, and you really see it here in the results. Rico Abreu gets the win over Kyle Larson, who almost had him there right at the very end. Logan Schuhart, Tyler Courtney, and Aaron Reitzel rounding out the top 5. Your quick time was Rico, also heat race winner, as well as Logan Schuhart, Gio Selzy, and Emerson Axum as a heat race winner, and Buddy Kofoid going from 25th to 12th was your hard charger. This was a good race. Aaron Reitzel was out there in the lead early. Looked really good. Rico then takes the lead around lap 8, around lap 9. There's a yellow on lap 13 for Parker Price Miller going around and collecting Donnie Schatz as well. And then on the ensuing restart, the Macedos get together and Carson Macedo rolls to a stop. And then they get in the lap traffic. Kyle Larson charging from 9th to 2nd. And he was right there coming to the checker. Almost got Rico there right at the end.
The laps that Larson made at the end of that race it shows you that he's the best race car driver on the planet, potentially. Like that last corner he ran in 3 and 4. If he duplicated that lap, half that race, he laps the field probably. It was that good. It was unbelievable. Like, wow, my guy. It blows my mind, man. But good for Rico. Man, I see an awful lot of high limit guys there. That's, what, 4 of the top 5?
Yep, 4 of the top 5. Well,
man,
yeah,
that's
4.
pretty wild. All those race cars and 4 of the top 5. Okay. Anyway, I don't really care about that. It's Knoxville. It is what it is. Congrats to Rico. They put a lot of time. Listen to someone somewhere was talking about, they put a lot of time and effort into Knoxville for this year. That's why they're there. Or now, like other people, but they really are putting a lot of effort into their Knoxville program this year. So Rico's going after it. We'll see how it all shakes out.
Yep.
Any thoughts from this, Tyler?
Great car count, good racing. Knoxville always usually puts on a half decent show. The other thing that I look at is just how many outlaws had to take provisionals, how many outlaws were in the B main. On side, I think they said there was 8 outlaw cars in the B main. And Gravel runs 6th from 10th. I mean, he was just basic. I don't even think Johnny or Tony Bachhoven even mentioned his name once during the feature. I mean, he was just kind of basically irrelevant. But you just look at the field, and you're right. I do see a lot of high limit cars up front, and gives them a little bragging right, for these combo shows, especially when you go into an outlaw race and come out with the winner. I saw high limit kind of, poking their chest out there on social media that one of their guys won.
Yeah.
The other thing that strikes me here is how many weekly Knoxville guys are in this rundown?
Brian Brown.
JJ
Emerson
Hickle.
can be a Knoxville car this year.
Okay. So Axum,
Kerry
Goodnow,
Madsen,
Hickle, Madsen.
Tim,
the Baccaros.
Tim's going to be a Knoxville car. McCarles.
Okay. Austin and Carson. So there's a few more than I even thought. But it's not
about a third
dominating,
of the
right?
field, about a third of the feature.
Yeah, so pretty good. But at the same time, think about it's Knoxville. These guys run it every week. Think about when we for PA.
Right.
If this was a high limit race at Lincoln, and our guys had this showing, what would be said?
No, we'd be
we got our asses. We got our asses kicked.
It's true.
Oh, this was fun. Come on. Are we held to a higher standard or anyone else? Let's go.
To be fair, this was their season opener as well. This is the first track time that they had. I'm just saying, when the Outlaws come here to Williams Grove and Lincoln, they're already 2-3 months into the season. You know what I mean? Having a bunch of races under their belt. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah, nothing says welcome to the first race of the year, boys, by having the Outlaws in town. That'd be like the Outlaws sanctioning the Icebreaker next year.
Right. But I mean, at the same time, a lot of these guys too have been racing elsewhere outside of Knoxville. They should
Yeah.
be shook down. But it was still their first laps at Knoxville besides practice on Thursday night.
Hey, Jimmy, can I interrupt real quick? Can you go back to the Brett Perigo
I can.
picture? Photo credit Brittany Perigo, Brett's sister, most
No,
proud
shut up.
sister, most proud sister in Pennsylvania. Okay, shout out Brittany Perigo.
I
Photo
want to know
credit.
where he got that hat.
Did she give him the hat? I wonder, because what the hell is that? And did he get to keep it? And if he did, he better be wearing it Weicker weekend all weekend.
Oh yeah. Oh, and also shout out. They were here on Path on Saturday night, but Friday night they were at Lernerville with a wing car. Carmen
What?
Perigo and a wing.
Perigo in a wing car?
Yeah, and a wing car.
Carmen
So
Perigo?
how about that one?
What is it, like 2008, the Super Sportsman again?
So keep an eye out that. I think they're gonna be running a little bit of some stuff more out in Western PA. Maybe they'll be doing
Was it a
some.
2A?
No, it was the 21.
It's a
It's a
21
Stamen
that
car.
looks just like a
It's
Stamen
the Draco
car.
car.
Yeah.
Okay.
So definitely something interesting to keep an eye on. Pretty cool to see them take one out and run some wing races here.
You know, Carmen gets he can come into Williams Grove, and if he wins a 410 race at the Grove, I think there's only 2 guys in the history of the Grove that have a 410, 358, and Super Sportsman win all at the Grove.
Sounds like
Something
a
to
challenge.
think about.
dropping that those stats.
Mark Smith
there,
and Smokey Snowbaker are the only 2.
No way.
Uncle Berger never did that. Huh? I guess he never did a 410. Yeah.
Rich never won a 410 race at the Grove.
Yeah. I was going to say that would
But
have been
Mark Smith and Smokey Snellbaker are both.
Going back to the Outlaws here real quick. A couple people in the chat here. James says, "What a scary crash for Tasker Phillips. Looked like Brad came down on him. Glad Tasker walked away." Nick Lowe says, "Let's not forget Brad Sweet doing Brad Sweet things." Randy Cobb says, "A little disappointed in Sweet. I saw it. That's what it looked like. He looked like he got bent out of shape, clipped Tasker Phillips, and man, did he go for a ride. He was up there. He was in the air. So very lucky that he was okay. It was bad." James says, "Is Brown going to be a Knoxville car or a travel car?" I'm pretty sure they will be at Knoxville. They'll travel elsewhere when they can.
Yeah, he's not running for points at Knoxville, but he'll be there most of the weeks.
Yeah.
Like they'll usually go to like Kings Royal and I-55.
Outlaws would get fans coming in the February cold. They did that a couple years ago, and it worked out really well for them. They made it a 4th trip to PA where they ran Lincoln and Williams Grove, and they ended up working out pretty well those weekends.
That was the 34 car A main at Lincoln. Remember that,
Yeah.
Jay-Z?
Yeah. Yeah. So, quick look at the point standings here. Oh, go ahead.
Never mind.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying that race, Johnny Schatz got hard charger. He went 32nd to 19th.
Start them all. But word of outlaw point standings here. David Gravel still holds top of the leaderboard, but Logan Schuhart now moves to 2nd position in the point standings here, 68 points behind, closing in that gap a little bit. It was about the same, but Carson Macedo was in 2nd, who's now 3rd. Buddy Kofoid, Sheldon Hodgeo, Donnie Schatz, Gio Selzy, Bill Baylog, Chris Wyndham, and Garrett Williamson round out the top 10.
Carson Macedo did what you cannot do, and that's fall out and finish 27th.
Yeah, that was
he lost a ton of points.
He really did. Because him and Logan, they were within a couple points of each other.
I think they said Logan put points on gravel or something like that, 6 or 8 points.
Yeah. So
and that's what you're going to have to do. It's not going to be one chunk with him. You're going to have to get it couple points here, a couple points there, because gravel's just going to not run worse than 6, most nights.
Well, that's why like when you were saying before, it's like, oh yeah, they weren't even bringing David Gravel's name up. It was like pedestrian for him. 6th place still at 70 cars. I mean,
right.
That's pedestrian for him. This goes to show, man, how good he's been and how dominant that car is and what it's going to take to beat him. You know what I mean? If you got to on those nights that he's running 6. You got to capitalize, just like Logan Schuart, that you got to finish in front of him to keep yourself in the game, because you know he's just going to go on a run at
And it's
some
like that.
point and win a bunch of races in a row.
And it's like with that kind of a field, not making the dash is crucial because he ran 3rd in his heat. Larson finished 2nd in that heat race. And, that kept gravel out of the dash. And, the best second starts like 10th.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's go to a couple of news and notes before we take a look at this upcoming weekend. The big news was Cale Thomas out of the 1A. 3 nights, 3 wrecks is pretty much what ended. What?
He didn't wreck at Baps first night out. He went 16.
He finished like
2 nights
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. The last 2 nights he wrecked. Just didn't seem to work out. Unfortunately, we were all rooting for him because he's fast. I mean, he was running really well at Williams Grove. Obviously, I mean, it was earlier in the race, but he looked like he had some speed. Just clipped the opening there, and unfortunate. And now the question is, who fills in that car? A lot of people have been asking what our opinions are with that. First 2 names that have been coming out, but Zeb Wise and Tanner Holmes, and a lot of that is because Tanner Holmes basically confirmed in one of his videos that they were both called when the 1A opened up along with Cale Thomas. So we'll see. But
I just can't see leaving that 21 car. As good as that car is in California, I just can't see him leaving that.
He's not. He said he's not. He said he wasn't after that call. What would 2 weeks change?
Right.
It's not going to change. My question isn't who's going in it. It's going to be the same names that was floated around 3 weeks ago. My bigger concern is this. Is this going to be a pattern? Because he wasn't even given a chance. You can't tell me that a weekend's a chance. Like, it's just not. Number one. Number two, is this a pattern for Jacob? Like, is it just going to be family? Is this just for, like, it's not for fun, but like, if they're not going to give someone a legitimate chance, good, bad, or indifferent, you're the car owner. If you're afraid to have your car get wrecked, don't put a car out there. It's going to happen. If you don't trust anyone else, get back in the car. That's number one. Number two is, if this keeps up, I don't see this car lasting beyond 2025.
Right.
I just see it goes away. I mean, we're just we're just fans and speculation, but at the same time, why would any driver what does the next driver think?
Yeah.
Like,
you're going to be a little bit, you're going to be a little less gun shy to go for it. Try to win because you don't want to risk it.
When the industry looked at it going, this is a great opportunity, does 2 weeks already change that? Go, oh, wow, I have a bad night. I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Just saying. Like, I don't know. I don't love it. I don't love anything about it. I'm a Cale fan. I don't hide that. I'm a Cale Thomas fan. He's a friend. I don't care if this was anyone else either. Like, this is, I don't know. I don't love the look. I hate the optics of it. Jacob can do what he wants. It's his deal. Like, he has every right to do what he wants to do. But man, what everybody thought was like, man, the ride. Oh, this is the one. They're gonna have a big schedule. They're obviously prepared for it. They're ready to go. Now I'm going, I don't know if I want to do this. Maybe I don't. Maybe I have this conversation. Let's have a long, hard talk about what the expectations are here. Maybe, right? You don't want me to wreck the car, finish 9th? Okay, no problem. I'll run 9th and not wreck your car. I don't know.
My opinion, I mean, like, I feel bad for Cale because he left a really good ride in that 49 car in Ohio to take this ride. And they've already filled I don't know, who did they fill to drive the 49?
One of the, Jacobs, Trey Jacobs.
Trey Jacobs, that's right. I mean, I just feel because that ride's already filled, and you get out of what would be a really solid car for the schedule and the tracks that he would, he does very well at.
And he wasn't out of the car long enough to miss any All-Star races where he could still
right. Right. But for names that are being tossed around, I saw a particular Pennsylvania driver's name that hasn't been in a car for a couple of years, with the initials AK being thrown around.
Yeah, you know how that came up? Somebody posted about it, and Danielle was like, "Alan would love to get back in a race car."
And
Then
then
it just it went like wildfire tonight. Like,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see who's in the car. I guarantee you somebody will be in the car Saturday at Port Royal.
You guarantee it?
No.
I
We'll
don't know. That's a strong word, and you
We'll
may not know you might not know unless they
we
pull in
might
because
not know.
they're
The
not
gate,
big on press release. They don't really put it out there a whole lot, so you may not know.
right. But I just think Cale didn't honestly get a fair shot either. I agree with you guys. One weekend, but he was also in the Trone. I mean, a couple of years ago, he was not given a fair shot in the Trone car either. He was in the car one weekend, and when they were trying to go through a couple drivers.
Yeah, it's a shame because he's got speed, man. I mean, he's
I do,
he's shown
yeah.
it. He's
He's a good little
fast.
racer.
What's that?
He's a good little racer.
Yeah, for sure. Samuel
Time
Green.
trialer puts himself in the right spots. Like I get it, mistakes happen, things, but that's part of racing. I mean, if you don't want, like I said, I don't know. I don't want to go too far off the handle and be rude, but I'm disappointed.
Yeah, same. And like Marie said, do you think anybody would consider to ride with how they kicked Cale out so fast? And yeah, that's kind of what we're speculating. It's kind of like it looked like a premier ride when it opened up. That's why some of these big names from all over the country got started talking about. Now it's what are they trying to accomplish with this car?
Right.
You know what I mean? I understand one thing is tearing things up and equipment and everything, but I don't know. I agree. I don't think he got a very fair shake.
But I will say this in defense of, I don't know who I'm defending, but there's a lot of perceived bad car owners out there that guys jump at the opportunity to go race their cars for. So I still don't think there will be a lack of hands raised. Let me put it that way.
No.
But at the same time, if I'm a guy, I don't live in PA, I got to relocate, I want to make this commitment.
Yep.
I would like to have that be a shared commitment and say, hey, win, lose, or draw. If I'm not performing, okay. If like whatever, but a weekend and a half doesn't tell you that story. I would be a little apprehensive if I'm someone who doesn't live in PA and I'm relocating for this commitment.
Yep.
I would pause. It would be, I don't feel like the leverage is there anymore from the other side. As a driver, I'd want to know. I'd want to know I'm your guy until like whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I've never been in that world, but
And this was the other thing, Randy and Randy brought it up, is the rig is broken down too. They had problems with the rig. Weren't they looking for somebody to drive the truck, right? They were looking for somebody to hire.
maybe they were. Actually, I think they were. Yes, they were right before they left to go out to I-55.
So you have those two things on top of now not having a driver. So who knows if this car runs? You know what I mean? Anytime soon. Maybe they have to get some things figured out before they, start racing. And it's different locally, but I'm talking like they wanted to keep that original schedule that Jacob had, that 100 race schedule both locally and nationally. So yeah.
Interesting.
Disappointing. And then something that was very interesting that came out in a press release. Bridgeport coming out with something very interesting for the sportsman modifieds there. $10,000 not to win. $10,000 going to third place. It was like $7,500 to win, $5,000 for second, but $10,000 for third. And it's definitely something that got. I mean, we're talking about it. I'm definitely going to be interested to see how this turns out. There's always talk about, hey, we need to pay more through the field. Why does it always got to be top heavy? And they're kind of doing, as a one-off. I don't hate it. I'm interested to see how this works out. But it totally changes the race. Do you really want to win at this point? And that's kind of weird.
I want that camera panned on third place on that last lap to see if somebody throws a dirty slider for third, knowing it's for $10,000.
Tyler, I want you to talk me into why this is a good idea. You're ever the optimist, and this is your world. I want you to talk me into this before I have a thought that I want you to change my mind why this is the dumbest thing I've heard today. Go ahead.
Something different. We're talking about it. We're talking about modifieds on turn 2 terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That's not helping.
It's funny thing is, I was over when I was at Williams Grove Friday. I was talking to a good buddy of mine, Kenny Speaker. He hangs out with the Ramers. He's from the Grandview area, and I've known Kenny for 25, 30 years. And he said, watch, Frank Cozy is actually the one putting the money up. His company is the one putting the money up for this third place position. He wanted to try something different. He wanted to get people talking. Because obviously most places, most places and races, obviously the money's at the top. And he wanted to try something different. He approached Doug Rose at Bridgeport about it. And he said, what would you think if we did a race for the Crate Sportsman? Because those guys race for pennies on the dollar on a normal Saturday night, no matter where they're at in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or New York. Why don't we try something different where the third place finisher is the one that gets the most money? And Doug Rose said, I don't think that's ever been done before, but I would like to try it. And I would like to be the first to do it. So they inked the deal up, and here we are talking about it.
Yeah,
it is something different, and applaud them for trying, because Doug Rose likes to think outside the box.
Yep.
And he likes to do things that are different. And this is certainly something different.
And listen, it still pays, like you said, these guys usually get paid depending on it's still $7,500 to win. It's still good to win.
And you're going to have crate, and the thing that you got to realize with the crate crowd, and I know the modified guys very well, this kind of a payout and this type of publicity is going to get crate cars from everywhere. They're going to have crate cars from upstate New York, Vermont, Connecticut, obviously Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware. If they don't have 100 cars, that's going to be, a disappointment for them, because, you just can't ask for like $7,500.
The amount of money they're putting up, yeah.
Yeah, $7,500 to win a crate race is like putting up $35,000 or $40,000 to win for like a 410 event, basically.
There's 100 of them some bitches around here.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Let's just say that. Yes.
Yeah.
Syracuse, or not Syracuse, the Super Dirt Week last year, the sportsman division that ran there had 102 cars show up, and they were only paying, I think, $5,000 to win. They had 102 cars show up.
So wait, you kept saying crate and now sportsman. Which one is it?
It's a 602 crate sportsman. It's a sportsman modified that runs on the GM 602 crate motor, which is the same motor. When you hear about 602 crate late models in the South, it's the exact same motor that they run on the crate late models in the South, except they just put them in a modified up here.
Yeah. So this is the support division at BAPS now and then on Sunday.
Yes. And it's also like the support division at Grandview, Big Diamond, New Egypt, Bridgeport. They run crate sportsmen up in New York. All the big block tracks run them, big blocks and crates. It's kind of like honestly, it's kind of like a 305 around here,
So, yeah, we're talking about it. I appreciate that a lot in our world, that there's something so different, unique, that we're going to have a conversation about it. But as much as the motorsports world can get shit for being entertainment and going too far with it. Now, not too much in our level, not too much in grassroots. You don't see too much of this, the games being played from a sanctioning body, like hiding it, but not hiding it. Where the competition cautions. I'm talking about NASCAR. Okay, NASCAR. It's a joke. It's the WWE of racing. They try to call it racing, and it's not. This feels gimmicky with money. It feels gimmicky when nobody likes races being manipulated. People pick sides. Now it feels like there's a sanctioning body / track / somebody trying to manipulate a race. And if you think someone's going to throw a bonsai slider for third, they should be all race. They're not going to save it. But what's the guy in second going to do?
Right.
Is this going to create shenanigans? What if there's a restart with 2 to go? And it's a
Yeah.
shit show.
It
Is it?
has every.
And
It
now
has
you're
every.
fighting because you lost. You're fighting somebody because you lost third place, not the win, not the trophy. Now you're going to get a fight over third place. And the guy that's winning is standing in victory lane holding up a trophy. No one gives a shit. This is a meritocracy. What are we doing?
Trying something different.
I don't get it. I don't get it yet. And listen, I hope it works and it's the coolest damn thing we've ever seen. I do. I want it to work.
Yeah.
But I am struggling to see the vision of it, that it matters to the guy who finishes third and no one else cares.
Well, he also just made this announcement, so let's see, like, let's give it time. I don't think it's till later in the year anyway, so it's got
It's
all
October,
summer
right?
basically.
Yeah.
I think it's in September. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, listen,
So
like I said, I want this to work. I do. I
yeah,
like the what?
I'd like to see it. I'd like. Hopefully, it's on an off weekend where I can head out there and actually watch it and see what kind of bullshit comes out of it.
I mean, I hope you can too. You can be our field reporter for this because who knows? I don't know what, where and when, but like I know where. Like I said, I want to be positive and I want it to succeed for everybody involved, and there's going to be a lot of money there, and that's awesome. I don't want it manipulated. Like I don't know. I hope it works itself out, and that guy in third is the happiest guy to leave the racetrack, other than the winner. But what's the winner going to feel like?
I think it'll still feel nice because it's $7,500 still to win,
I
and
know.
you get a win. So,
but you can't tell me that guy's going to be like, right? So I don't know. Listen, we're talking about it again. That's why, Tyler, you're here in a way because I wanted you to talk me into this being the coolest thing I've ever heard of. I'm not there yet, so we do have some time for you to come up with
either, Jeremy, and I'm a modified guy. I'm not sold on it yet either. Give me a little bit of time and give me a little. Let me digest it a little bit and see what all comes out of it.
I hope Dirk Rimrot wins the third place money. All right,
I love
Dirk Rimrot, baby.
All right, let's take a look at this upcoming weekend. First, let's start with the weather. It looks like it's going to be a pretty good weekend. Friday, 75 degrees, mostly sunny, 2% chance of rain. So Williams Grove looks good to go. Saturday, you have Sealands Grove with URC. You got Lincoln. You got Port Royal with the Kauffman we're going to talk about here in a second. AM showers, looks like early in the morning. It's going to be cooler and cloudy. But it looks like race time, afternoon, evening is going to be fine. It's just going to be pretty chilly. Getting down to 46 at night. Which a couple weeks ago that was a warm up for us. And then Sunday, we got racing on Sunday too. We got Port Royal and Baps, 69 degrees, sunny and clear, no chance of rain. So it's looking like, besides Saturday morning with some showers, and it doesn't look like much. Knock on wood. Let's hope it stays that way and we get all these races in. So let's start Friday, 410s and 358s at Williams Grove, plus the makeup from April 4th for the 358 sprint. So you get 3 features, $25, 7 p.m. also on Dirt Vision. And then Saturday, we got Lincoln, 410 sprints and limited late models, 6 p.m., $20 there. Sealands Grove has the URC 358 360 challenge, also limited late models, also past 305 sprints and Roadrunners for $20. Big race though for the weekend is Port Royal, biggest race of the year so far, money wise, $15K to win. 410s for the Keith Kauffman Classic. Also, USAC East Coast and the Wingless Sportsman, 6 p.m., $30, also on Floor Racing. And then taking a look at Sunday, 410 Sprint Show at Baps with 358 modifieds, $25, 6 p.m. on Sprint Car Unlimited. And then Sunday, Port Royal, Lucas Oil Limited, not limited, Jesus, Lucas Oil late models and the limited late models, 6:30 p.m., $30, also on Flow Racing. Let's start with Saturday, Keith Kauffman Classic. This will be time trials. Get it, plus USAC East Coast Wingless Sportsman. This is an awesome race. Really excited for this one. What are your thoughts heading into this?
Yeah, I'm pumped. Looking forward to getting up to Port Royal this weekend. It'll be my first trip up this year. Pretty excited about that. Weather looks good enough. It could be good money. Should be a great field of race cars. This is a weekend where I think we thought maybe Lincoln would pull the cars. That in recent history, when everyone thought Lincoln would pull a bunch of cars from other places, it hasn't worked. I think this is the opposite this weekend. I think it's Port, and I think they do pull the cars. I think they get the cars. I think it's going to be a big field. Time trials, we're getting closer and closer to Weikert every week. You're getting closer and closer to the weather of Weikert every week, right? I think that it's all starting to make sense, and these teams want to get up there to prepare not for a Tuesday World of Outlaw 10 grand to win show at Lincoln. They're preparing for a $75,000, $100,000 a weekend for Weikert coming up. That's what they're preparing for these days. This is going to be fun. I'm excited to see USAC East Coast. I hope there's cars. I know the Wingless Sportsman will have close to a full field. This is a great show. I like going up there. I'm excited to get there for the first time this year. Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, track that I'm planning to go to is not on the list here, but I think it's going to be great for Port. I think that having that show, it'll be the first weekend for USAC East Coast. They run Bedford Speedway on Friday and Port Royal on Saturday, so hopefully it's a good weekend for them. I know my brother-in-law who races with USAC East Coast. They were a little worried about a lower car count Friday night at Bedford, but hopefully it works out for both. I definitely think you see 40 cars at Port Royal on Saturday. I think the real question is, is Lincoln going to have a full field of cars? Because I do think that some of the higher, obviously they're going to have Troy and Freddie and, the Lincoln regulars, but, is Lincoln going to be right at a full field of sprint cars on Saturday? Because I anticipate probably at least 40 cars at Port.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that it's a triple header. Give the fans a good bang for their buck, with a $30 deal. This whole weekend in general is great. You guys didn't touch on it. Friday night, I'll give you a little thing. Linda's Speedway is going to have the Wing Super Sportsman as part of the Erman Falk Memorial up there. First Super Sportsman race in Lebanon County since 1996 when Penn National closed down. So that'll be interesting on Friday night, along with what's going on at the Grove in Bedford. In
What
the
the hell are you? 1996, this county, that thing, since the wind was
That's pretty
blowing out
wild.
of the east, since the last full moon. What are you, bro? You're an alien.
I know. It's just I remember the stupid shit and not the important stuff. But no, that'll be interesting to see. Obviously, there's a lot of people talking about it, and you get to Sunday, and it's like, if there's ever a 2-race deal happening on the same day where I wish I could be cloned, it's what's going on Sunday. Because you got modifieds and sprint cars at BAPS, which is always a good doubleheader, and you have Lucas Oil, which is a must-see event at Port Royal. That's a huge weekend for Port, by the way. To have 2 high-caliber events like that on back-to-back nights. That's going to be huge for Port, and I hope that they can hit home runs on both nights.
Yeah, the weather looks like they're going to get them. So they're going to get these in, and
Usually when
good luck.
Lucas rolls into town late April, it's almost a guarantee that it's going to be a wash. Like last year, it was a wash for the whole weekend because they didn't race in April. Just hopefully the weather looks good in Georgetown for Lucas on Friday. It looks decent for Hagerstown on Saturday. That's $25,000 to win for Lucas.
I was just gonna say that for Lucas Oil, they have a triple header, and Port's actually the least. It's paying less than half than the other 2.
Yeah, I think it's 15 to win, 15 or 16 to win at Georgetown, 25 at Hagerstown, and I think it's 12,000 at Port.
I think it's
12 or 15.
I thought I
Wasn't
saw
this-
it was
Wasn't this race like
23,000 at.
50? Wasn't this race 50 a couple years ago or something?
No, that's their
That race in August.
doubleheader later in the year.
Yeah,
Oh,
when they had the Rumble by the River in August, that pays 50,000 to win.
okay.
Yeah.
Let me see here. I'm looking it up.
You're right. Georgetown is like 20 some to win. I think
It's $20,049 to win. It's a 49 lap feature at Georgetown.
because the Melvin Joseph Memorial down there in 49. Melvin Joseph, just side note, he was a very successful car owner in Delaware, in the Georgetown, Delaware International area. His car number was always 49, so that's why they put the 49 on there. But
You better save some of these nuggets for your show this week. You're not going to have anything to talk about.
Oh no, they're all on my notes. They're all my notes for Thursday.
25,000 for Hagerstown and then 10,000 for Port.
Because that's all Lucas shows pay a minimum of 25,000 to win on Saturdays. Any Saturday Lucas show this year has to pay a minimum of 25,000 to win.
That's wild.
That is wild when you think about it for a touring series.
How many cars do you think we're looking at? Because Port's been getting really good late model turnout. There was a good turnout at Selinsgrove too on Friday. There were some invaders because you had Lucas Oil and you had Ward of Outlaws off too, but there's a good base here in Central PA now.
Yeah, so World of Outlaws are down. The World of Outlaw late models are down in Alabama this weekend, so you're not going to get any of them guys. But I honestly would say 50 is not out of the question for Sunday because Lucas has about 16 to 18 guys traveling right now because they kind of have that championship within a championship. Lucas kind of went the NASCAR route as far as the championship goes. So right now, all the point races up to Memorial Day weekend have its own like mini point fund built in. So most of the guys that commit at the beginning of the year will run till at least Memorial Day weekend when they get that first little in-season bigger paycheck for their points deal. And then you add in the local guys and the regional guys. I would say Port's got a possibility of hitting 50 cars on Sunday. And it's going to be the best of the best. And there's a couple of guys that I'm really interested in seeing. They've got a couple guys from the South that are touring. And I've talked to a couple of them, and they're very excited about coming to Port on Sunday because they've seen it on Flow. They've seen, the races that it's put on in the past. And one of the guys' name is Donald McIntosh. He's out of Dawsonsville, Georgia. And he lives really close to Chase Elliott from what he told me. But he's very interested in coming. He's very excited about coming up to Port. He's wanted to come up for a couple of years now. It's just the financing has not allowed him to do that. And he's finally got himself, he's driving for a guy named Billy Hicks out of the Carolinas. And Billy told him, if you get a good start to the year in Florida, we're going to go on the tour at least until Memorial Day. And they were sitting top 10 after Florida. And McIntosh messaged me and said, we're coming to Port Royal. Be prepared. So I can't wait to see him race. And there's a couple other guys too that are going to come up from the Carolinas and the Georgia area that that I've only read about, on Dirt or I've watched, maybe them race an online event somewhere, but would have never imagined it would come up here, and they're going to be here. So I would not be surprised if there's 50 or more cars on Sunday.
And it helps that there's 3 races, and the weather is looking really good too.
And that's going to help. And that's going to help bring guys from outside the area, not necessarily your PA or your Western PA guys. This is going to help the guys from Lower Virginia, Upper North Carolina, the guys that would be on the fence if the weather was questionable. But the weather looks good for all weekend, especially where they're racing. So, you could see some lower regional guys from Lower Virginia, Upper North Carolina maybe come. So it'll be an interesting show for sure. That's where I'll be on Sunday. Like I said, I hate missing a modified show at BAPS, but you just can't pass up a Lucas Oil race at Port Royal. They are so damn good there.
With Rick Eckert and Sadler being so good to start the year, and I know we had you on here last year, or the year before, kind of asked the same question.
Last year.
Are they going to
Mhm.
be contenders for the win?
I think so. The way Eckert and Satterley's a guaranteed starter because he won
Yep.
Saturday night at Port. That was a big thing, for those guys down there. That is a big deal to be a guaranteed starter, and knowing that maybe you can take a little bit bigger of a risk in qualifying in the heat race, knowing that you're a guaranteed starter. I look at a guy like Eckert. I look at a guy like Satterley. Trevor Feathers has been fast so far this year. Um, Trying to think who else have I really
Dylan
seen.
Jake ran pretty good,
Yeah,
Saturday night. He had a good win.
Bernheisel, Bernheisel's won
Yoders.
already this year. The Yoders are always good up there. The thing with Lucas Oil that you have to do, and it's just like any touring series, you have to time trial.
Yep.
You have to, especially with Lucas Oil's format, because everything is heads up. I saw, and I'm not being critical, it's just the way their format is. 3 years ago, Jonathan Davenport, 3 or 4 years ago, Jonathan Davenport showed up to this April show. Quick time in Group A in time trials. Started on the pole first heat, won the heat. Started on the pole feature, won the feature. Never had to pass a car all night. But that's just the way their format is. And you got to put yourself in position at the beginning of the night to really make it happen at the end of the night. And
Every lap matters.
a guy like Satterley, somebody like Bernheisel or the Yoders or Trevor Feathers, Kyle Hardy from Virginia has been just lighting it up in the limited world, but he can certainly get it done in the super world as well. Guys that can qualify when there's a curb. That's where you set yourself up for greatness. Is you gotta make sure that you time in the top 2 rows of your heat, because it is all just like the sprint cars. It is awful hard to come from the 3rd row on back. It seems like it's worse in late model racing, but that's just the nature of the beast, unfortunately, right now.
Another question I have is the 3 tracks you named this weekend are all pretty big racetracks. Is
Correct.
this the first stretch of big racetracks the tour has had this year, other than Volusia?
Because Lucas
That was
ran.
That was Outlaws.
Yeah, that was an outlaw deal at Volusia. Lucas has ran at All Tech, which is kind of like between 4/10 and a half mile, and it gets slick. A lot of guys say that it does mimic Port Royal to a degree, but it's just not as big. This would probably be the first real stretch because the other when they got out of Florida, they ran Brownstown in Indiana, which is a 1/4 mile, and they ran at Atomic, which is a high bank 3rd mile. So having 3 big half miles, that's another thing. The boys that have the horsepower and the bigger motors on the touring series, they love coming to these half miles. But our locals can give them just as good of a shot as anybody.
Yeah, I think in the late model world, just like sprint car world, motors and aero, right? I think it puts on full display who's done their homework.
Absolutely.
So we'll see. And I haven't watched a lot of racing from Georgetown, but I could be completely off base. The camera location at Georgetown is weird. Am I wrong on that? Like the one time I watched a race, it just seemed really strange. Is that every week, or was that just a race I saw they had it in a weird spot?
It's weird because when they designed Georgetown, and you see that in a lot of the older tracks, when they designed the track, they didn't design the track with a camera platform as part of the design for the grandstand. Supposedly, from what I understand they got a different position for the camera this year because they actually got like a camera platform for it to be on.
Nice.
Because Georgetown is doing their own TV production for their own shows this year. Now, whenever they have a touring series come in, they'll take the touring series, whether it be Flow or Dirt Vision, because they do have a super dirt car event, big block event down there later this year. But Georgetown actually does have its own streaming service that they do through their website. So they did get a better platform for the camera mounts this year.
So it wasn't crazy. Like I said, I think I may have watched one race ever
weird
from that
location,
place.
yes.
And it was a weird, I couldn't, it was hard to tell, like, the actual shape of the track from where the camera was. I'm like, because I've never been there, and I'm like, what is this place? I thought it was a short track.
It
This
is a
place looks
very
like it's
weird.
6 miles long.
It's very big. It is shaped a little different. You got to have a motor to run there. It's like like when the modifieds run there, and with Deo's deal, you can run a big block or a small block. But nobody brings a small block to Georgetown because you need all the power you can get there because of how big and wide it is.
Yeah.
And the surface is different because you're only from where Georgetown is. You're only about an hour to Ocean City, Maryland. That's where Georgetown,
Sandy.
Delaware is. It's on Highway 113 on the way down to like Rehoboth Beach in Delaware, and then
I've seen
on your
many
way.
times, and I was like, I want to go there. I want to stop at the racetrack.
Right.
I want to go
Right.
there. It's right on the road. It's wild.
It's
And even
right
from the
on
road,
the highway. Yes.
right on the highway, it looks like it would be a tiny little racetrack because the way the
It-
signs are, it looks like, and it's massive. And
it-
for years, I always thought it was just a short track, or it looked abandoned, to be
They
honest.
actually, believe it or not, Jeremy, they actually shortened it. It used to be bigger than it is.
No shit. Wow.
It used to be as big as the old Bridgeport.
That's wild.
Yeah, because if you watch the show, if you watch the highlights or whatnot, if you look and see in turn 3 and 4, in the middle of 3 and 4, they have a pit grandstand. Where that pit grandstand is out where 3 and 4 used to be. So it used to be a 5/8. Now it's just a half.
Nice. Jimmy, any other late model questions?
No, I'm excited. I think I'm actually going to go this year. I've said it the
Nice.
past couple of years that I was going to go, and it just because it's on Sunday, it just don't seem to go. But I think I'm doing it this year. I've been every week with the late models. I know I say it on here a lot, but man, they race so good at Port, and they're becoming more and more enjoyable. I don't know if it's because I know the drivers a little bit more, but I'm still going. Main thing that I'm looking forward to is Saturday with the 410s, but I'm really curious to check out the late models here because every time I watch them, I say I'm going to go, and then I watch it on Flow, and it's like, man, they're on the tin from the
They're on the
get-go.
tin on the wood,
They're
on the fence all the time.
From time trials
and I will
on.
tell you that, yeah, and I will tell you this too. Rick Schwaley, who is the race director for Lucas Oil, probably runs the most efficient show from start to finish out of anything.
And that was
his
the other
general
thing.
rule is that Lucas Oil feature is done within 3 hours of the green flag coming out for the first warm-up. He strives by that. If he has to move things around to make that happen, he will. Because I remember him telling me 2 years ago when they ran, he says, I am going to be home in time because they live in Ohio. They live in like the other side of Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
I will be home in time to put my kids on the bus tomorrow morning to go to school.
That's wild. I mean, yeah.
So
and that's the other thing that I remember too is
going to run an efficient show.
It's like, oh, it's on Sunday. I don't want to go because I got to work the next day, and then I end up watching it at home. I'm like, I would have been home. It's done before it's dark.
There was
Sometime.
one.
There was 1 year it was done before it was dark.
Yeah. The race 2 years ago, he started warm-ups at 6.
Mm-hmm.
Warm-ups at 6, and they had, I think, 50-some Lucas cars and 30-some limiteds, and the Lucas feature was done at 8:15.
Yes. Yeah, it's
done. I was on the road by 8:30 to come home.
And they don't, and what they do time trials, but man, their time trials go so quick because they send 3 out at a time.
He'll
usually
send 3 or 4 at a time. He is not into that single car or even 2-car qualifying. The fuck that. I'm going to send 4 cars at a time.
Yeah, Port Royal on Saturday, they started off 4 at a time, and then I don't know if it was just because speed differential or something, they went down to 3 after a couple groups.
Right.
Was there limiteds running somewhere Friday? Could they have a triple header for if you're a limited? Was there anybody Friday night?
Yeah, both Lincoln and Selinsgrove are both running limiteds.
Friday.
On Friday.
On Friday, sorry.
I don't think Bedford's not running limiteds because Bedford's running USAC East Coast and super late models. I don't think there's a track running Friday night.
Because for a limited car, you could almost have a triple header if you wanted to. Like you're almost there now. That's rare for them, I would imagine. I'm sure it happens, but like The one that gets me here is how many are going to be left for Sunday? Because you either Lincoln, your Selinsgrove, and then Sunday back to Port. There's limited guys, right? They're not
Right.
pros. They're even more grassroots than anyone. I hope they
Well,
still can get a good field. I know they have a good like Port
yeah.
has struggled to get a full field of limiteds weekly, like when they run them up there. I hope there's enough. I hope there's a good car count.
Well, limited. They're also paying $2,000 to win the limiteds on Sunday at Port.
Yes.
Okay,
Um,
I'm just saying.
it's like last
I
week.
hope
It's
there
like
is.
last week. Yeah, it's like last week with the limiteds on Sunday. You had Path Valley and Hagerstown running in the afternoon, and you had Bedford and Susquehanna racing in the evening. Because I know there were guys from Path Valley that went to BAPS
Yeah.
and tagged the rear of the feature, and I know there were guys at Hagerstown that towed to Bedford and raced on Sunday night. So it is
Yep.
possible, but I'll be interested to see what the car counts are on Sunday for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm big weekend at Port, and
You should take the camper and just go for 2 nights.
that's what I wanted. That's what I was thinking about doing. I was also talking about the All Stars are out at Fremont, and I was thinking about going out there with our buddy Alex, who says I'm becoming a Fender guy. I don't know if I'm becoming a Fender
Fremont.
guy, but I'm warming up to them.
Okay.
But I don't know. Brett racing wingless for on Saturday. The 410s, Keith Kauffman Classic's always a good race. I was thinking about taking the camper out. The problem is Sunday night. I got to work Monday, so I'm
Gotcha.
taking the camper and everything. So I don't know. I'll figure it out. Either I'm going to drive back and forth for both days, or I'll camp over Saturday night, take the camper back on Sunday, and then come back. I don't know. I'll figure it out.
You'll
But
have to let me know if you're there on Sunday.
Yeah, I might right now. I'm planning on going because the
Okay.
weather looks good, and I kick myself every year
Bring your
that I don't
t-shirt.
go, and I'm going.
Bring your t-shirt money because a lot of these late model guys have some kick-ass looking t-shirts.
Okay.
No one buys late model T-shirts, Tyler. Moving on. Let's go.
All
Wearing
right.
one right now.
I know you are.
We'll wrap this up.
Davenport, baby.
Wrap this up with the World of Outlaws. So you do got the All Stars out at Fremont. I didn't take a look at the weather. I didn't make a slide for that. I'm sorry, Alex. But they are out at Fremont getting their season started on Saturday. They should have a pretty decent car count, I would imagine. World of Outlaws, Jacksonville Speedway and Hopstadt, Friday, Saturday. Weather looks pretty good. There looks like some thunderstorms in the afternoon at Jacksonville on Friday. But in the 70s, sunny. Saturday looks great.
Yeah.
So just gonna have to watch those thunderstorms on Friday, and hopefully they could get both nights in.
That's one of my favorite places, Hopstadt. That
Yeah.
place puts on it's a shame they only run wing sprint cars there like 2 times a year, but that place races so good in a wing car.
Well, if they ran 10 times, Brady Bacon would have 10 wins a year. So there's that.
Absolutely. He could very well win again on Saturday.
Yeah.
That weekend right there, the Outlaws, people can say what you want. That's one of my favorite 2 right there.
Jacksonville's
That
cool.
weekend is awesome. That is
Yeah.
badass. Jacksonville, it's my bucket list. It's on my
Mhm.
bucket list. I want to go there someday and watch a sprint car race.
I feel like I got to see sort of Jacksonville when I saw Lincoln Speedway out in Indiana. Yeah.
Illinois.
Sorry, Illinois.
Oh yeah.
It's like almost the same thing as Jacksonville. Same setup.
Yeah.
It's like the fairgrounds and everything. The open front stretch.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean Jacksonville. It looks badass, man. It's going to be a good weekend of racing all the way around. A lot of people here are they're pumped for a lot of people in the chat. Really pumped for Lucas Oil on Sunday. A lot of people sound like they're going to be going, so that's awesome, Steph.
Pack the place.
Yeah, let's pack it. Drink it or dump it. I'll start. I'm going to drink it to all these tracks getting in. I want to drink it especially to Selinsgrove. It looked like I was very pleased to see some of the pictures. I wanted to go on Friday, but I got caught up with doing some of the stuff with my camper. By the time it would have been late. But it looked like they had a really good crowd there, good turnout, great start to resurrect that track. And awesome for Williams Grove to get a great car count, showing that I know they weren't racing sprints on Friday night, but that maybe they can this can work out where all these tracks can be successful. You have good weather, you have a good fan base here. You get the cars to come out, it's gonna work out. Dump it. I'm gonna dump it to Lance DeWeese. I was so bummed on Saturday when his car came to a stop because I really thought he looked really good, and he had a really good weekend otherwise. Also, I want to drink it to Billy Dietrich. 2 top 10s and a second place finish at Port was spectacular. So shout out Billy.
Tyler, go ahead.
Okay. For my drink it, I've got 2 drink it's. One to Ashley Capetta, Pat Sterner, all the hard work they did for the Weldon Sterner Memorial. Had another great event, a lot of hard work. Already wheels already turning for next year. How do we make the event bigger and better than it already is? So definitely drink it to them. It's a lot of hard work. I know Ashley was running around. And then for her to also finish 4th in the feature, win the heat race in the Apple car. Very cool to see the Apple car back out. Definitely felt like I was a teenager again watching that car, especially the way it was labeled up with Greg's name and everything. One more drink it. Grandview Speedway gets their opener in. It's where I'll be on Saturday. Great car counts in both classes. They had a really good crowd as well. Was hoping my buddy in the crate class, her name's Adriana Delapani. She almost won her first crate race on Saturday. She got passed on a late race restart, finished second. The guy that won is not going to be there every week, so she's unofficially the point leader going into week 2. Talked to her today. She was super pumped with the run. Looking to hopefully get that first win this week while I'm there. That would be awesome. Dump it. I just say dump it to the rain on Friday night because out at Knoxville, because I really wanted to see the Outlaws get their butt whooped twice in one weekend versus just once. But yeah, just dump it to the weather the way it's been. I'm glad we got all our shows in, but just dump it to Knoxville because I know those people out there were really, really pumped about a good 2-day weekend to start the year. At least they got one show in, but would have really liked them to see gotten two shows in.
One second. All right. This week, I have personal drink it and dump it. Not just the normal racing one. I have some personal ones and a honorable mention drink it. So I'm gonna do that one after this. And I'm truly drinking it tonight to my buddy Kyle Keen. Introduced his little boy into the world the other day. Yes, Saturday.
Sunday.
Congrats, Kyle. Sunday. Sorry, Jesus Christ, I lost track of my weekend. Shout out, Kyle. Becoming a dad, first time. Drinks to you, buddy.
Cheers, Kyle.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Great
that's
name
good.
for the kid too, Elias.
I knew why I was saving that. That's good stuff. So drink it to him. Can't wait to see the little one. Can't wait to see him and have a beer with him. So also, if anybody noticed, he kind of had a graphic out about being there this weekend. That's a scheduled tweet. Didn't obviously, baby boy was on the way, so wasn't there this weekend. My dump it is to Cale. My good buddy Cale Thomas, gave up a full-time all-star ride to take this opportunity for something bigger and better that he'd been waiting for. And straight up opinion, didn't get a fair shot at it. So that sucks for sure. My honorable mention drink it is to my buddy Cameron Merriman. Met him on iRacing, former iRacing pro. Got a podium this weekend, 358s. I think he got second or third. I think he ended up second or third there. And every time he's been back in that car for a guy who doesn't really have a lot of experience, he's gotten better and better and better. Drives harder and harder. And man, him and his dad are two of the great, nicest people I've ever met in the pits, and never not smiling. So shout out Cameron for a great run. And he was actually messaging me, and it reminded me, like, holy shit, he was on it. And won his heat, had a good draw, pull, and I think he starts near the front. He gives Dylan a run for his damn money. I think he would have battled the hell out of Dylan because he drives hard. So, shout out Cameron.
He was on the gas.
I want to do 2 more quick drink it's. I know I kind of already brought it up earlier in the show, but it's got to be here too. Brett Perigo with the win. Congratulations, buddy. Happy to see it. Hope there's more to come. And I got to give a huge shout out to Tyler Shell. He was super impressive in his first night out in a 305. Good buddy of ours, iRacing champ. It's funny when we race on Tuesday, Thursday nights. He's always asking me to put him to the end of the line. Well, first three races in a 305, you have to start back there, and he just got one spot out of transferring into the out of the B main into the feature, which is super impressive for his first time out there. He looked really good. He was ripping the top. He was probably the guy that was highest up on the track, and it was fun watching him. It's always cool to see that, kind of to see like a whole new career start in front of your eyes there, and super impressed, and wish him luck here in the future. Let's get to some of the other ones from the chat. Go back here. Marie says, drink it to Macho Man on his second place finish. And dump it to Bacon's rough weekend in PA. Mandy says, drink it, Mother Nature. Let us get a full weekend racing in. DD hustling to get Cale Thomas out. Yeah, for sure. Weekend winners, Macri, Norris, Perigo, Walter, etc. Lincoln Speedway for an amazing show. All the drivers who participated in Fan Zone for being super nice and letting me get autographs, candy, and pictures. Danny and Billy Dietrich getting second place at 2 tracks on the same night. I didn't even put that one together. Shout out them. And then dump it to Cale Thomas, all the other drivers who wrecked, Tasker Phillips, the whole Whittle Wagner situation, Deweese at Port Royal. Samuel says, drink it to Campbell for his pretty good performance this weekend. Dump it to Cale for his tough luck. Hopefully he gets a better ride soon. Agreed. Steph says, drink it to amazing races all weekend and Billy's second place. Dump it to all the wrecks that happened. Brandon Zerk says, hate to say it, and this is a good one because he's not going to get enough. He doesn't get enough love sometimes. Drink it to Macri for 3 feature wins in 2 nights. Super impressive. I mean, especially with the car counts, you do got to give him his flowers. Dump it to the 118 for torn up equipment and Cale Thomas for losing his ride. Tyler, you want to say something?
I was just thinking, when was the last time someone won 3 races in less than 24 hours in PA? It's got to be Kevin Gobrecht.
Jeez.
I mean, yeah, Kevin did it at 3 different racetracks when Macri only did it at 2. But the scary thing is, the more I think about it, and I've been around long enough to remember Kevin as a driver, I think Anthony Macri, to me, reminds me a lot of Kevin Gobrecht. When Kevin Gobrecht came on the scene, he tore some shit up. He was wild. He was fun to watch. Once he figured out how to win, boy, did he ever win. And Anthony was the same way. I see a lot of Kevin Gobrecht and Anthony Macri.
Good comparison. Randy says, drink it to Tyler being on the show tonight. Thank you, buddy. Great show, T2T. Thank you. Mandy says also Lincoln getting done right before it rained. What else here? I think that was it. There's a couple up earlier. But thanks, everybody, for always chiming in, tuning in, as always. Want to give a shout-out to our friends over at Vertical for Life, always helping veterans. They have their second annual music festival coming up May 3rd. That's in 2 weeks. Get your tickets, verticalforlife.com, $15. I did see the announcement that the service dog demo will no longer be able to be there, but they do have an announcement on some more food, on some more vendors that will be there. Bunch of bands all day. They did release the set times. We'll make sure we share that to our page as well. So a lot of things starting to come together for that festival. Looks like it would be a great day to enjoy some music. 80 Glendale Drive, $15, May 3rd. Good.
Jimmy saw Brad in the infield at Williams Grove and Lincoln. He had a posse of chairmates with him. Got a cool picture of the 3 of them together. That from the infield at Lincoln. I'll get that posted up here. I'm about to start working on my Lincoln stuff pretty soon, but I want to get that up as part of the sort of the Fan Fest pictures. They Vertical for Life actually just helped get one of their buddies a new track chair Saturday before Lincoln. Friday he didn't have it. He showed up Saturday in his new track chair. So super cool what they're doing. Support this stuff. That they're doing great things for great people.
Yes. One more drink it and dump it here from. Oh, go ahead, Tyler. I'm sorry.
I was just saying to Jeremy, I can't wait to see his Lincoln photos.
Me too, buddy. I can't wait to get to them. It's hard for me to be patient and go skip other things. Because I know that they're going to be really good, and it's hard for me to I got to have discipline and stay on my Williams Grove, get it knocked out, get it done. I'll get there. It's hard to yeah.
Dan, so he had a quick drink it to Austin on continuing to make improvements with his health and injury and his injury and up to the 1A team. Just the whole situation was unfortunate. Very well said.
Yes.
Tyler, again, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem.
Love having you on for when the late models and stuff come to town. But man, you bring all the stats. It's really much appreciated, and we will be talking to you. I'll see you Sunday, I guess.
Yeah.
At Port Royal.
Anytime you guys want to have me on, just say the word and I'll be there.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.
Actually,
And appreciate.
I just wanted to say, get well wishes to Ashley's dad, Bill. He had some minor surgery. Everything went well today, but he's going to be on the mend for a couple of weeks. So shout out to him that everything went good and quick recovery.
Yeah. Wishing the best there. Thanks again to all of you guys tuning in. We will see you guys at the track, and we'll see you guys next Monday. Have a good one.